In the last section, we looked at creating scatter plots. In this section, we're going to look at adding a line to our scatter plot called the regression line. If a scatter plot shows a straight line relationship, we would like to summarize the overall pattern by drawing a line on the scatter plot. And I kind of hinted at this in the last section. A regression line summarizes the relationship between an explanatory variable and a response variable. So a regression line is a straight line that describes how a response variable y changes as an explanatory variable x changes. And a regression line is often used to predict the value of y for a given value of x. Some programs like Microsoft Excel will draw a regression line for you if you've entered a data set. Let's look at an example. We're going back to our scatter plot of the study where the students drank a certain number of beers and then their blood alcohol content was measured. So here's my scatter plot for that. And then I have the computer draw in a regression line which goes here. So this is the regression line that was found. Alright, now let's take a look at this and see what we can predict based on this line. What if a student drinks 10 beers? What would I expect their blood alcohol content to be? To find that, I would just trace along this line to 10 here. So if a student drank 10 beers, I would expect their blood alcohol content to be about 0.17. It's about where that point is. What if a student drank 5 beers? Well, I had a whole group of students, 4 students each, who drank 5 beers, and they all had different blood alcohol contents. But based on my regression line, I would expect that a student who drank 5 beers would have a blood alcohol content of about 0.08. What else can we see from our regression line? Well, it looks like our regression line doesn't quite go to 0 at 0 here. So we would expect that a student who drank 0 beers would have a blood alcohol content of 0. But here, if I extended my line out even further, you could see that if I just use this line, I would predict that a student who had drank 0 beers actually had a negative blood alcohol content, which isn't possible. So what can we learn from this? Well, regression lines may not be reliable for making predictions at the extremes. So your blood alcohol content can only go down to 0, and realistically, if you've drank any alcohol at all, you should have a slightly positive blood alcohol content. It's also probably not good if we had a student drink several more, say like 12 or 15 beers. We might be further off the mark over there because that is pretty far outside of the range of where we measured. So this was a short section, things you should know for this section. You should understand what a regression line shows, which is a straight line relationship between an explanatory variable and a response variable. And then use a given regression line to make reasonable predictions. You don't have to worry about the equations for regression lines that appear in your book.